Hi everyone. Well, I had my surgery, as you can tell. This is day one. Surgery was yesterday, and I wanted to give you all an update of what I went through from the time I arrived at the hospital to the time I went home to help the community out there and all those of you who may be having surgery soon, because it's very nerve-wracking. I was very nervous, scared, and crying all the time for 2 months. And so I just want to let you know you're going to make it through. So I got to the hospital yesterday morning at 5:30. I was very tired. I had to get up at 4 and I didn't go to bed till about 1:30. Maybe by the time I fell asleep, it was 2 a.m. So needless to say, I didn't get much sleep. Got to the hospital, we did all the paperwork. Surgery was scheduled at 7:30. They took me to the room. I put my gown on. The nurse came in and introduced herself to me. The anesthesiologist came in and spoke to me about the nerve block and had me sign a consent. I was very nervous. And he said, "You don't need to worry. I've never had any patient have a problem. We look at your nerve through a sonogram," because they did put a couple little patches here, one up my neck, I think one down here, and one on the side. I forget where, but that was hooked up to the monitor for the sonogram. So he reassured me that I would be okay, but if I didn't want it, I didn't have to have it. It just depends if I want to handle the pain, if I didn't have the nerve block, if I can handle the pain. So I went ahead and consented, and then he left. And then another nurse came in, we spoke, and then the doctor came in, the surgeon, and he sat on a stool right next to my bed, and he looked me straight in the eye, into my soul, which I love. I think that's very important before you have surgery from your surgeon. And I looked at him, and our eyes locked, and he asked me if I had any questions. I did have a few questions for him about my arm and the long tendon here that hurts still, and the bruise that I have when I fell on the edge of the trundle frame. So I asked him if he can take a look at all that with his camera to see what's going on there. I was hoping that the long head tendon wasn't maybe frayed, or I don't know, something's going on with it. So he reassured me that he'll look at everything while he's in there. And then he left, and then the anesthesiologist came back and he said, "Okay, we're ready." By then they had already hooked up the IV in my hand. They brought another bed. They had me transferred to this other bed, which I believe that's the bed they wheeled me into the surgery room. And so I transferred to the other bed. Then the anesthesiologist said, "Okay, I'm going to, do your nerve block." And he said, "It's a very fine needle. It won't hurt. And but I need you to work with me." I did ask if they could put me to sleep before he put in the nerve block, and he says, "No, I need you awake for this because I need your help." He said, "When I go in with the needle in your neck, I'm looking at the sonogram. I'm looking for the nerve where the needle's going to enter. But," he said, "if you feel any kind of zing or zang feeling," he said, "you need to tell me the second you feel it, because we don't want to get close to that." So I believe that's probably the larger nerve that could be dangerous. So he said, "That's why I need you awake." So anyways, he started. I didn't feel the needle go in. I don't really remember. So he was very gentle, and it must have been a very thin needle. So anyways, he went in there, found the nerve. I waited for the zing and zang, and nothing. And I was happy for that. And I don't know, within a few seconds, he said, "Okay, you're done." He said, "You're going to feel a little bit of warmth come down your arm and a little tingling in your fingers," which I did. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't scary. It wasn't bad. I didn't mind it. I think my mind was on surgery. So I really don't remember much from that point on. They just said, "Relax, lay down, relax. You're going to be fine." And they were talking to me. I was talking to them. And before I knew it, I was out. The next thing I remember is I woke up. I had this sling on. I had this huge white gauze on my shoulder. This thing is about, I don't know, maybe half an inch to about half an inch, let's just say, thick. So it's pretty thick. So they gave me an ice pack to put over this. And so I was in recovery, I think about an hour and a half, but they did continue to come and check on me to make sure I was okay. Well, within, I don't know, an hour that I was there and they woke me up, my shoulder, my shoulder bone started to hurt really, really bad. The pain just suddenly came on. And so I asked them if I could have a painkiller, and they said yes. And I asked them, why am I feeling pain if I have a nerve block? And I believe the nurse mentioned that, because they put anchors in my bone. She said, you're still going to feel something, but it's not as bad as if I didn't have a nerve block. And I'm like, I don't know, the pain right now is probably an 8 to a 9. And so she gave me the painkiller. I'm not mentioning what it is because every doctor may give you something different. So I took the painkiller and we waited about 20 minutes. The pain was the same, it didn't go away. So I asked her if I can have another one, if it's okay. I don't weigh much. So I was a little nervous about that. She says, no, I think you can handle it. You should be fine. So she gave me another, and within 5 to 10 minutes, I got really dizzy. I got really nauseous, and I had cold sweats. I almost felt like I was going to pass out a little bit, but I was in control still. And so I asked them if I can get a fan because the cold sweats were just coming on so strongly. So they brought me a fan, and I did feel pretty dizzy. Not like coming off a ride at a carnival, but I did feel some dizziness and the nausea. So they brought me some crackers. I asked for some cranberry and some water on ice. So they brought me that, and I would say within maybe half an hour, it started to subside, all three symptoms: the nausea, the dizziness, and the cold sweats. And so they finally went away. I felt a little better, and I said, I think I'm ready to go home now. So I get home and I walk through the front door, and then that's when I realized I have no pain. The shoulder pain I was having at the hospital was gone. The medication must have kicked in. And so I walked in the front door. I sat on my Chase lounge, my Chase, I guess, from the couch, and drank some water. And I did feel a little sleepy, but I was talking to my sister who was taking care of me, and I told her I wanted coffee. I was sleepy and I was going to go to try to take a nap, but I kind of wanted my morning coffee. It was actually around, I don't know, 1:30 in the afternoon, maybe 2. So I had my coffee, and I actually was able to get up and put a little bit more cream in my coffee, and I felt fine. I mean, I had a sling on, I had this on, but I had energy. And so I had my coffee. Of course, after that, I was wide awake, and I was fine all night. No pain at all. I was walking around. I was able to do things with my right hand, and I was just very careful with this arm. Then I took my ibuprofen, and in the evening I took my baby aspirin that the doctor prescribed. And then they did make sure to tell me that if I start to feel my fingers tingling and waking up, that I definitely want to take the pain medication because I don't want to chase the pain. So I went ahead and set my alarm for 3 in the morning because I did feel my fingers, they were numb, but they were a little tingly. And I thought, well, what if I start having more pain? So I did wake up at 3 in the morning, and I took the pain medication, and I had a little piece of toast with it, and then I went back to sleep. And then all day long, my shoulder didn't hurt at all. I've been fine all day. I've been taking my ibuprofen every 8 hours. I took the baby aspirin in the morning after I had a piece of toast, because I need to take that baby aspirin for the next few days, I guess, just morning and night. And that's to avoid blood clots. And I made sure I walked around a lot around the house because I want to make sure I just keep moving. And I was fine. I was fine all day today. It was great. No pain at all. Now, if I did move my arm a little bit, I could feel, inside it's a little painful. But really nothing to take any strong pain pills for. So I didn't take any. All I took is my ibuprofen. I didn't even take Tylenol. I've been fine. And so I'm going to set my own alarm tonight to get up around 3 in the morning and probably take the pain medication just in case. So I'll go ahead and do that. But really all day long, I've taken nothing but the ibuprofen. So I had my soup, had little snacks, and I've been feeling great. So I just want to let you guys know that don't worry. I was really scared. I was crying for 2 months. I was afraid of the pain. I've never been through anything like this. I heard it's one of the most painful surgeries you can have, even more painful than hip replacement, and I wouldn't know anything about that, so I don't have that to compare. But that's what scared me, and it also was very sad for me that I was, as you know by my other videos, that I was even having to go through this. So I just want to let you know, if you're a little bit afraid of the pain. I mean, I know we're all different, so I can't speak for you, but I was more afraid than really what I've gone through, and I'm dealing with it, and I'm not even taking any pain pills. I'm not going to take any more unless the pain starts again, but we'll see what tomorrow brings. But as long as I can handle it, I'm not taking any of those hardcore pain pills, because I don't like to take pharma drugs. Anyway, I'm very much into functional health, and I only take supplements. And so I believe that my supplements and all my whole journey of my life of being healthy and working out, I think it's really helping with the surgery for me. So one other thing I wanted to say, this arm's gotten really thin because I've been using this arm a lot to do things. And I also have like some liquid, some fluid here not built in, I'm sorry. I have some fluid here from the surgery. The fluid's kind of draining, I guess, right here. So there's like a little bubble in my arm, but I'm sure the body will eventually absorb that. So this sling is really nice. It's got the pillow on the inside here to help support me. And it's kind of loose, and it's not around my neck. A lot of people were saying that the sling bothers your neck, but this is actually sitting on my shoulder. And then there's a strap that goes around my waist. So it's actually very comfortable. It's not too bad. I just wanted to think what else I need to tell you guys. I think that's it. One last thing. Before this video, I went ahead and got in the shower. So day 1, they said don't shower for a couple days. On day 2 or 3, you can take off this gauze and you could actually run the water. Just be careful. But I went ahead and actually what I did is I sat on a bench in the shower, and I used a cup. I avoided this area, took the sling off, and I bought a very lightweight sling from Amazon so I can use for the shower. And so I just sat at the bench and just wet my areas around and used soap and my brush. And then in the end, I actually used the shower hose. I just avoided this area, and I just washed my legs and kind of my back down below towards the bottom. So I was actually able to shower today, day 1, and I felt strong enough to do that and with no pain. So just want to let you guys know that. I think that's really success. I was afraid I wasn't going to be able to shower for 3 or 4 days, and I'm a daily shower person. So yeah. Oh, and one other thing. I have read that when you feel good about yourself, you heal quicker and better. So after my shower, I did kind of put a little bit of makeup on. I brushed my hair. I know my hair's a little bit frizzy because I can't use my other arm to use my round brush and blow dry. So, but I did do a little bit of makeup for this video. And so if anybody out there is going to have surgery, I would say, do a little something for yourself, something that makes you feel good about yourself, whether you're a man or woman, because it'll help you on your healing if you feel good about yourself. So I think that's really important, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. So I think that's all I have to say. I think I'm rambling on now, but I wanted just to give you guys an update, and don't be scared, because I was. You're going to be okay. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next video.